And welcome everybody to the PCS Like a Pro show, our first episode of the new year. So happy new year, everybody, and welcome back to joining us. As you can see, we've got a full house today. It's going to be really exciting. I'm going to be talking with some of my good friends about our favorite locations and our least favorite locations and passing on some advice for things for you guys to what you need to know. It is order season. I know a lot of folks, especially our Army friends, are anticipating their orders being released within the next couple of weeks. And pretty soon we're going to hear everybody asking, who's been here? What do I need to know? Or somebody's going to be assigned someplace they don't want to go. And so maybe it's somebody else's favorite location and they can help give them a little bit of hope that it's not going to be so bad. But before we dive into all of that, two things I wanted to remind you about. First is the customer satisfaction survey. So if you have moved within the last 12 months and your move is complete, take a moment, log into DPS again, or you can call the help desk. I know it's sometimes a little hard logging in, but you can always call the help desk too and fill out that survey. That survey is how Transcom determines how a season went. It helps them know how your experience went. And that survey also directly impacts how future, how TSPs, how the companies are assigned moves in the future. So definitely share your experience with them so they know what they need to know for that. The second thing is, again, it's order season. So as soon as you get your orders, get on to DPS and get your move set up. So if you're doing a PPM, a personally procured move, the new Diddy, you need to log in there. You need to set up a PPM. You need to let the military know how you plan to move. Or if you're doing a regular household goods shipment, get that set up in there as well. Now, the big thing to note is that you will probably not be assigned a TSP, transportation service provider, until at least moving industry and Transcom, they go through this phase called rate filing, where the moving companies, they file their new rates with Transcom, and they get all of that in place. And those new rates take effect May 15th when official summer peak season kind of kicks off. So if you're moving anytime after that, just know you will probably not be assigned a TSP until probably March timeframe when those are all approved. So that's all I've got for that. We're going to go ahead and dive on in, and we're going to go ahead and start with Lauren right now. So I'm going to just clear this up a little bit. And my good friend, Lauren, can you just briefly tell us who you are and a little bit about you?
Sure. My name's Lauren Hope. I am a licensed realtor in Colorado Springs and an Army spouse of 16 years now. So we're getting there. So we have made 11 PCSs, and we are focusing on the light at the end of the tunnel, that glorious retirement period. So I'm very excited about transitioning here in the next couple of years.
Yes, retirement is something we all look forward to. It's like that moment of, hey, we made it, we're good. It's you finally arrived, and the second half of your life can begin, kind of thing.
Right?
So in that,
my third life career.
Yes, absolutely. Like our midlife crisis is retirement and like starting that next phase and figuring out whatever in the world that is. So in those 16 years, can you add up? Do you know how many PCSs you've made?
So we've made let me take that back. We've made 8 PCSs, but 11 homes. So we've had to do a couple of moves while still in town, like when we were renting and they decided to no longer rent. So we had to move while I was 5 months pregnant. I feel like in the Army life bingo, we've hit a couple of things on there.
Yeah. And those local moves are still just as hard as like a PCS. I feel like sometimes we've done a couple of those and it's still just, you still have to pack up everything and move it. And now you're moving it yourself. And it can be just as hard sometimes.
There are bonuses to loading everything into a laundry basket, though, and not having to deal with the boxes and the packing paper. That's for sure.
Yes, very, very much so. So in that time frame, in all those locations, what has been your most favorite location?
So I have a couple favorites, but I've been thinking about why they were my favorites. Mm-hmm. And every single time it was because of the people in the community, right? Yeah. So we absolutely adored Fort Hood, where we made our forever friends. We adored when we were at West Point because it was very Norman Rockwell's 1950, kind of like Leavenworth, and then Leavenworth was my third favorite. And again, it's always because of the people in the community that we built, the block parties, the raising kids,
Mhm.
just all of the memories.
Yeah, yeah. The people definitely make it. And so on my screen, it's going to show up as Facebook user because that is Destin in our group that is commenting. So it shows up differently. But yeah, she recently moved from the spring area as well, currently overseas in Germany. But definitely, like, the people definitely can make or break a location, is what I hear a lot. It all depends on who you meet there and the friends and how you get into your community too.
Well, and obviously I love Colorado Springs because this is where we've decided to retire. I didn't know I was a mountain girl until I met the mountains, right? But that said, I'm actively recruiting for my community that I'm building. So if anybody wants to be in my friend circle and come here, I'll be here forever. So please come join me.
I will definitely come and visit. I'm all about that. I've been trying to get out to Colorado now for like 2 years, and the timing has just never worked out. Because I've got so many friends there. I'm just like, yes, I will travel. I will come visit. And then it's like,
I have a guest room. It's yours if you want it.
Yes. And Lauren is an amazing cook. We're going to have her on again sometime to talk about how she has changed over the years, because it's delicious and everybody needs to sample that too. So a flip side of all of that, what about a least favorite location?
So my least favorite location was when my husband went to grad school, and I don't think it really matters where it was. It happened to be at Ohio State University, uh, but the reason it wasn't my favorite was because I had 2 kids under 2 with diapers. I didn't have that military community. All of the things I might have normally done to anchor in and make some friends and get out of the house, I couldn't do in that phase of life. So
Yeah.
I say that to say that everything is temporary. And if you're in that phase right now, know that this too shall PCS, right? It gets better. So it's hard when you can't get out and make those friends that at least I need. I'm an extrovert. So
Yeah. And I mean, one, I'm excited about the Ohio State University. As an Ohio girl, that just like warms my heart, you know. But I can definitely agree with that, you know, not having your military community and being in that different type of setting, because we are experiencing that now. And at the beginning, it was very difficult to find those people and to figure out what our community here was, you know, and meeting our neighbors and trying to tell them, like, we're military and this was our 10th PCS. And at the time, I think it was like 14 years. And they're just like, why do you move so much? And they were shocked that we had active duty military at the depot down the road. And they were just like, you know, just shocked about it all. And so it's just been very difficult in trying to find that community and find what your normal is, what your life is when you don't have those people that at least understand it and get it and can be there to help. So that's like you said, it doesn't really matter where you're at. If you don't have that, it makes that location hard and difficult.
it was lonely. That's all.
It is. Absolutely. It definitely is. And that's why, I mean, now with technology and being so thankful for it, like, we're easy, you know, to connect with other friends and people everywhere, you know, but it's still not the same as, you know, walking across the street in your slippers and robe with a cup of coffee to your friend's house because, you know, her kids are going to be getting on the bus, and why not go ahead and go say hi while you're still in your pajamas? I mean, we all need something like that. What do you have any like piece of advice that you want to pass on to others that are either in that waiting game for their official locations or preparing for a PCS or just life in general?
If you're in the waiting game, take whatever your military, I'm sorry, your soldier, airman, marine, your active duty person, your reserve person, whatever they say, add a month, right? Just set accurate expectations. I think that's what it really boils down to. because if they think they're going to know now, they're going to know in a month. So if you tell yourself know in a month, you'll be really surprised if you learn early, and you won't be stressed out if you don't learn until a month from now.
Yeah.
And with moving, it takes time to make the real friends, to really find your circle, but being authentic and putting yourself out there is the fastest way to find your people. You'll find people who aren't your people, and that's okay. You've just, solved that problem sooner. So I just always try to put myself out there and connect so that I can make my friends, and then, like you said, keep in touch with people virtually too. So it always helps when your friends have friends in your new area, so you can close the loop and make more.
That is one of my favorite things to do, is when I see one friend just like, we have orders here, like what in the world do I need to know about here? And I'm just like, wait a minute, I know somebody, like let me. And then it's like a Facebook group message, and it's like, hey, meet my friend. And then like 4 months down the road, you see pictures of them like having coffee and lunches and at each other's kids' birthday parties, and it's just like, I did that. That's one of my favorite things to do.
Absolutely. It's a small military, and it's just getting smaller as we close the loop.
It is. It's a big world, but it's such a small military, and I love how our community can do that connection for each other. So definitely. So Lauren, thank you for being here today and jumping on with us and sharing your favorite and least favorite locations. I greatly appreciate that, and taking time out of your day. Like I said, we're going to have you on again. Watch for my email. It's coming. Yes, but thanks for being here, and we will let you go. And I'm going to bring now on my friend, Julie Eshelman, who is here today with her sweet daughter. I'm so excited. I finally get to see her. I've seen some pictures, but seeing her in person and her personality is so different. So welcome, Julie.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Can you just give us a little bit of intro of who you are and your military spouse life?
Sure. So I'm Julie Eshelman. My husband is an active guard reservist in the Army Reserve. So what that means is he's full-time for the Army Reserve. And so we actually PCS. So we're in this it's like the best kept secret of the Army Reserve is this little active duty club. And so he has been on active duty orders of some sort for pretty much his entire career. He spent, I think, maybe the first 9 months as a typical TPU reservist that only drilled. And then he was on a stateside MOB, on ADOS orders, and then finally got into the AGR program. And so we have done, we've done two non-PCS moves where we've had to move, but the military didn't pay for it. And then we've done 2 PCSs where the military paid for our move. So we've had some fun experiences with that. And we are currently stationed at Fort Leavenworth. And so it's our first time living on base and really having that military-based community for the first time, which is really exciting.
Yeah. And like with Lauren, those local moves can be just as tough as a regular PCS sometimes. And Leavenworth, so when we were there, I fell in love with that place. I loved the small town living and the community, and I met some of the most amazing people there. But I also loved that Kansas City was 20 minutes away, and being able to do all the big city things as well. So with being AGR, it's a different kind of animal to the active duty and to the PCSing type of thing. So for you, have you had, knowing that you've lived in a couple of places, have you had a favorite and least favorite location?
So my favorite was when we were stationed in Scottsdale, Arizona, which is really surprising. Never in a million years did I think I'd live in the desert. And so it was really surprising. And my husband was hardly there, yet it was one of both of our favorite duty stations. He was at company command at the time. And so he was at several different schools, he was deployed. And so I was there alone and didn't live near any of the other people in our unit, yet we formed such strong bonds going through deployment together, that it didn't matter if they lived 2 hours on the other side of the valley. Like we would drive, at 9 o'clock at night if we needed to go help each other. And so it was a lot of fun. And coming from being at Joint Base Lewis McChord for 7 years before that, the sun was so welcomed because I did not like the rain that we had in
the
Seattle.
climate. Yeah, the climate can definitely really make and break a location just as well, especially if it's not something that you really enjoy and really like. I know, people that love the South love the warmer air and all of that when they get stationed someplace in the north and they end up like at Fort Drum or JBLM or someplace where it snows most of the year. It's just like, why in the world did the military send me here?
Yeah, exactly.
And it can definitely be, like a shock. But I mean, nowadays, I feel like the South isn't really the South. I mean, last year we had the Texas snowstorm that came through, and where we're at now in Texas, like Saturday was like a high of 78, and then Sunday was like a high of 33.
Oh yeah, we
now
had
we're
that
hanging
here
out
in Kansas. It
yeah,
was
and
crazy.
now we're hanging
degrees.
out in the 60s. Yeah, and so it's like, that doesn't really matter so much, but it does make a difference between, if the sun can definitely make a good difference for you. So you are in this orders waiting game as well, like me, where it's like we think we're going to someplace, but the Army could surprise us. How, for you, how do you handle some of that, this waiting in limbo, not needing to plan and prepare, but not knowing exactly where you're going to?
I know the places we want to go, and we're really hoping we get those. But it's just I can't stress or fret about it until I know, right? I could go through 1,000 different scenarios and think about it. And thankfully, I've got my daughter here who keeps me busy and doesn't let me really think about it. Although when all of our active duty friends here at the schoolhouse they were entering their marketplace for everything. We're kind of like waiting for the Army Reserve to give us because they still do the list, like you rank your choices. They're not in the marketplace yet. And so it was like we had to wait for the Army Reserve to do it. And so it was like, at least they all know where they might be going. And so it was just, I had to try not to think about it and not listen to those conversations where they're talking about it, because it started to stress me out that we didn't know, or didn't at least have the list to know where we might be going. A list of 45 is still a list of 45. You don't really.
It is. I mean, it's great that we're able to preference and kind of put in where we want to go and have units preference too. But at the end of the day, there's so many different factors that go into it. They have to look at the Married Army Couples Program, EFMP. They have to look at your career timeline, and so many other things. So it's why we feel like we get a good say in it and we get to tell them where we want to go. I mean, you can still come down as needs of the Army or needs of the military, whatever your branch is at the end of the day, and be someplace that you weren't expecting or didn't want to go. And sometimes those are hard to get as well. We fell into that category last PCS as needs of the Army. And so I feel like everybody gets their opportunity at some point to be needs of the military and go to some random place. I'm not going to ask you where you want to go because I don't want to jinx it. With everything, I feel like if you go tell everybody, then I feel like they're just like, oh, we hear that. We're not going to send you there. We'll send you somewhere else. I'm not going to ask you. We're not going to do it. We're going to cross our fingers for you that you get where you want to go, and everything. And hopefully, it's a good experience and a good PCS for you all.
It'll be an adjustment though, because most of our choices weren't at installations. Because, as a reserve family, we're not usually at a military base. We're normally kind of in the middle of nowhere and live in these communities that don't even know that there's a massive Army Reserve Center around the block. Which is what happened to us in Illinois. Like most of our neighbors didn't even know that there was a reserve center 2 minutes down the road.
Yeah.
Like they didn't even know it was there in their own town.
Yeah. And like us, I mean, we're stationed at a little depot, but I mean, there's only a handful of green suiters. Everyone else is civilians. And so it's just like, oh, we still have active duty people there. And I'm just like, yes, that's us.
Yep.
Hi.
People always assume that my husband's a recruiter when we're out, because why else would you be stationed here? If you're not a recruiter, what's here?
Yeah, no, we had that once too. And at our children's school, we had a Christmas program one time for my daughter's class we went to. My husband was right after work, so he showed up in uniform. And then there was somebody else there wanting to know like where her husband was and everything. And he was just like, I don't know who that is. And she's like, you don't work at the recruiting station down wherever? And he's like, no, I work at the depot. And they're just like, oh, I didn't know there were other people here. So even with that, it's just, a very unique and different situation. But like I said, fingers crossed you get where you want to go and that it's a great experience and you meet some lifelong friends there. We will let you go. She's adorable. I'm so glad she joined. You may not like that she's skipping her nap, but I am very excited that she has come to join us and let be a part of this with us today. So
we're teething, and so that is has led to some nap boycotting.
Yeah, teething is definitely not a fun stage. She's adorable. Thank you for being with us, and thank you, little one, too. You'll have to let us know. We're going to have you on again as well, because I want to talk more of what the Guard Reserve lifestyle and your AGR experience has been, because I think that's something that doesn't get talked about enough. And so I will love to have you on. Again, look for my email as well, because I think that's a great experience for us to share and talk about. But thank you for your to it. Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for your time again today. So we will let Julie Eshelman go. And
all right, thanks for having me.
Thank you. And we're going to have my next friend, Julie, as well. Julie is a great name. I love all the Julies I come across. But Julie Shepard here to join us today to talk about her favorite and least favorite locations as well. So welcome, Julie. Thank you for taking your time out of your day today to join us. So if you could just give us a brief rundown of who you are and what you do.
Thanks, Megan. It's my pleasure to be here with you today. And when I saw the call out for that, I was like, ooh, fun, because I need something to distract myself from obsessing about where we're going next. So I love that you were talking about that. I've been a military spouse for 25 years, over 25 years. My service member is active duty Navy, and he's currently deployed, actually. So we've been where we are now less than a year. We got here end of April. We moved in the middle of the school year, which was a little unique, but the kids were actually all in virtual school, so I could move early to find a house. It was super stressful, and now we're looking at having to PCS again. We may stay here locally, or we may move back up to where we came from. It's really stressful, though, with having a senior. He'll be a senior next year. But to give you the stats, because while the last person was speaking, I counted them up. Haven't done this in a while. We have lived in 10 duty stations in 25 years, some more than once, and one geo-batch tour. So in that geo-batch tour, there were 2 aircraft carriers he was on, and 14 different homes.
Wow. That is absolutely amazing. And you said in 25 years or 22?
25.
Yeah. 25 years.
We were in Alexandria, Virginia for a 10-year stretch. And I say we, I mean me and the kids. Because there was deployments to Afghanistan and a 26-month geo-batch tour on 2 different aircraft carriers on the West Coast. So,
yeah. And just to give a little perspective to those that don't, I mean, for us, that seems like what Julie has gone through is a very normal life. But for our civilian counterparts, the average person, I shouldn't say just civilians, but the average person usually moves 11.4 times in their lifetime. And then they, on average, also move only 18 miles away from home. So you can see, compared to our civilian counterparts, to us, just how different that experience is for just life in general, of how often we move, how much we move, how far distance that we move as well. And so that's just pretty amazing that in 25 years for all of that. So all those places, I think you said 10 PCSs, 14 homes. What has been your favorite location?
So when you put that out, I stopped and thought about this long and hard, because I really feel like for me, it's before kids and after kids. So
Mm-hmm.
for my before kid duty station, hands down, Monterey, California was my favorite. But I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if I would feel that way going there now with children in
Yeah,
school.
I can definitely see that. The school thing too, because we have 3 kids in school, and so our oldest will be going into his freshman year next year. That looking at, when we got our list of locations as well, looking at it and seeing where they were at, and then starting either places we've been before and we knew what the school systems were like, or places we had friends at and seeing their struggles with school systems, or researching some of the others. I think the school piece of it, once you have kids, becomes a big factor in choosing where you go to and where you want to be and how long you try to stay there. Coming in as a brand new spouse, I don't think that wasn't anything that was ever on my radar. Looking back at it, it was just we'll go where the husband goes, we'll go wherever the Army sends him. But now it's just I really don't want to go there. I hear not some good things about that school system, or we can go here, but we're going to live here, and you're going to have to be okay with a 30-minute commute because we need the school system.
That became our number one priority. Both of my children are classified twice exceptional, so gifted, but also have some special needs. And that comes with its own host of challenges. So I've spent a lot of time doing education advocacy for our military kids over the past, 5-6 years. But yeah, Monterey was beautiful, and we waited for 6 years before we had kids, so it's just a different lifestyle. But I mean, obviously, we were in Alexandria, Virginia, for a very long time. So, and I'm from Nova, so that's probably my favorite with kids. Although not the least expensive, that was for sure.
Yeah. So would Nova be your favorite post kids, or is there any? Yeah. And Nova's a good area. I feel like there's always a lot to do, especially family wise. It feels, you have all the Smithsonian's there. You can go, I don't know if they've opened it back up, but before you could go take tours of the Capitol. There were tours of the White House. You could go sit in a Congress session. I always felt like there was a lot to do around there, and always felt like a good family friendly location. You were close to where you could hop on the train to New York, or go to Delaware, or go skiing. If we're into that, it always just seemed it was a good location. We had lived 2 hours south of there in Williamsburg for some time, and I was always just we could go to DC this weekend. We hadn't done that Smithsonian, why not? We can make a day trip of it. We go, see Arlington, the kids hadn't seen that, or go see Mount Vernon. It's always felt like there was something going on and something to do in that area, especially for kids.
My family, my parents have moved away from that area now, but when the kids were younger, it was also about having that family connection. So I was really lucky, really, to have that 10 years. When we left for San Diego and came back, and then I know that was your next question, is least favorite. And a lot of people love San Diego, but it was really because of the school situation for both of my children why it was not my favorite. I love vacationing there and visiting San Diego. It just didn't work for our family, and I just did not acclimate. I tried everything to kind of fit in, and it just didn't work. So we were only there for 1 year and came back a little bit earlier, before my husband had finished his tour, to get my kids settled for the next school year. So
yeah, no, it definitely makes. I think that's something important to keep note of too, is that as people begin to ask in the different spouse groups, who's been here, what did you love about it or hate about it, is that what worked for one family doesn't necessarily work for your family as well. So why some people loved San Diego, great, beautiful area. You got beaches, things to do, the zoo that's nearby. But sometimes that, even though it's a great location wise, the atmosphere and the community of it and the school systems and whatever else just sometimes isn't a good fit for you as well. And I think that's something for everybody to kind of keep in mind. Is like, why this one person loved it, it may not be the best for you. And why this one person hated some place, that could end up being the place that, you find yourself and find what you love and find your community. And so it's definitely a very good, interesting thing to kind of keep in mind as people figure out, their next locations and what they need to know about them. So what about your least favorite, since you do pre and post kids, what about your least favorite pre-kids?
I didn't really have one.
Mm-hmm.
We lived in Atsugi, Japan, right when we first got married. Then we went to Monterey, and then we went to DC, which was my favorite. So I don't have a favorite. I'm really enjoying getting to know Virginia Beach. I mean, I've been a lifelong Virginia resident. So we were stationed down here for 3 months before we went to Japan when we got married. But I haven't lived down here. I've visited down here, so I'm enjoying getting to know the area.
Yeah.
So,
but it's a good area. Yeah. Virginia Beach area, it's another one of those good locations where you're near a lot of things to do. There's always a lot going on. Again, when we lived in Williamsburg, like I loved going down to Fort Story. If you haven't been yet, Fort Story is this tiny little thing. But I love their beach because it's basically Virginia Beach, but 2 miles down. So you don't have all the tourist people. And so it's basically like a quiet, secluded beach that you have to yourself. And so like, any chance we got, I would take the kids out there while my husband was deployed because I didn't have to worry about how crowded it was going to be. And when I was just like a great little gem for our military community. So I always loved that. Do you have any advice that you would pass on and give to others that are either like us in the limbo situation of waiting for orders, not knowing exactly where we're going to yet, or preparing for a first-time PCS, or just military spouse life in general?
I'm a planner, and I like to have a plan. And it makes me itchy to not have a plan. And like the whole waiting game, I don't do well with that. So I use that time to do research. I like to plan out in my brain, like multiple different scenarios about where I'm going to go. Now, I know other people are like me, and then there's other people that don't do that. But I love Facebook spouse groups for that purpose. There's many that let you join if you don't know if you're going to a location or not. And just look for the other free resources that are out there, like what you guys are doing today. And I'm gonna put you on the spot, but no harm, no foul if you say no to this. So I didn't mention, and I should have in my intro, that I'm also the director of Mill Spouse Fest. And if you haven't been to one of our events before, they're awesome. I'm going to tease a little thing we're doing this year. We're doing a series of 10 different webinars, and I have a PCS webinar that I'm doing at the end of the month. And I would love to have you, Megan, come on and talk on our show if you're available to do that. So
absolutely. And I want to have you on again to be able to talk more about Mill Spouse Fest and the program you have and everything that you do and provide. So again, watch for my email. All of you, again, watch for my email because you guys all have so much more to offer that I feel like, I could sit here and talk to all of you all day about so many different things. So yeah, yes to your invite to coming on your show, and then you're going to be coming back on mine to talk more about that as well. So definitely,
plug in
the spouse group
resources. Spouses are our best resource. That's my tip.
Absolutely. And those spouse groups are amazing. Those location specific spouse groups, if you're new and you don't know, just wherever you're going to, Fort Bliss spouses page, or, Langley Air Force Base spouses, like you will find the groups you need and you get plugged into there, and you can ask about the school systems. You can ask about what neighborhoods to live in. You can ask about, realtors, lending companies, babysitters, nannies, like whatever it is you need, new salon, because that's always where I struggle with, is like I have to find somebody new to like trust with my hair now, like
dentist, housekeeper,
eye doctors, like everything. Those spouse groups are just a huge wealth of information, and those groups are the best places.
I run a Facebook community group for the National Capital Region, and that's how I actually got started in all of this, was from that over 7 years ago. So that's why I like believe in that so much. There's just really great ways to help build community and keep people connected. It's so hard when you move into a place like that that's so spread out.
Yes. And so Lauren, who was on earlier, is sitting in our back office studio piece right now in our little private chat, just commented about how military spouses are more connected and efficient than the mafia. And that is such a true statement. I feel like, you need something, ask a mil spouse. Like, we've got it. We'll figure it out. We know somebody who knows somebody. We've got, whatever it is, we can handle it. So our spouses are definitely, the most connected people and just a wealth of information and a good resource. And those local community groups are definitely very worth, joining and seeing what's there and getting the information that you need to know. And as Julie is commenting in the back office area too, is that there are even AGR and reserve guard groups for location resources as well. So, it's, something just, look into. You'll find the information that you need. And again, here's from Destin that someone's been there and done that. We don't need to reinvent the wheel for something, but if you need a recommendation for whatever it is in your life, somebody in that spouse group can be able to point you in the right direction that you need. So thanks so much, Julie, for being here today. I greatly appreciate you taking time out of your day. And like I said, we're going to have you on again because I feel like we could talk all day about all the things and about Mil Spouse Fast. And I want to be able to share that with everybody else as well.
Thank you so much, Megan. It's my pleasure. It was a nice meeting and listening to everyone else. So
yes, so thank you. So we will let you go, Julie. So I've got one more, my friend Theresa. As life, is she here? We're going to add her. So true life happening, which we love. I love realness. I love true life. So Theresa is here, taking care of life and business at the same time, and joining us. And this is what happens. And I love it. So welcome, Theresa. Thank you for being here today, and for working to make this work.
Hopefully it doesn't go dead.
Can you give us just a little quick? Yeah, I think we'll do this quickly. Can you give us just a quick rundown about who you are?
Okay, so I'm Theresa Thompson, Army spouse. I think he retired like 28 and a half years in 2017. And he has continued in service with being a JROTC teacher here in Texas. So still serving. And then we've had, I was trying to do the stats too. I think we were at like 16 PCS stations, and kind of like the other ladies, like you don't always stay in the same house. So, just in Hawaii, we moved 4 times. And since we've retired, we moved 4 times in 1 year. So lots of challenges. I think we're at about 28 addresses and 2 forever homes. So just because it's forever doesn't mean forever is forever. It's our Army forever. And 3 boys, and just kind of been everywhere. So
yeah, no, absolutely.
Lots of good
and
stuff.
retirement is someplace that we all strive to be at someday. So I feel like, like the Holy Grail, like you've made it, you've arrived at the second half of your life begins. You're at the place that we all aspire to be at someday. So in all of those PCSs, what has been a favorite location for you?
I wouldn't say Hawaii. We were there for 7 years, me and the boys. He was there like a year on, left. But there was just so much to do there. I think like the other ladies had said, it's more about the people and the environment, because every duty station has its challenges, but the more you get involved and you reach out to your community, both military and civilian, I think that's what really makes every duty station that we've had amazing. Even though I'm like, no, I don't want to go. Because when we were in Panama, we went to Fort Drum, Thanksgiving Eve, so you're like, wait, what? So yeah, really, I think it's just about how much you decide it's going to be the best duty station ever.
Yeah. And the people can definitely, the people around you, your neighbors, the community you meet can definitely make or break a location. How about a least favorite? In that time span, have you had a least favorite location?
I'm sorry, say that again. I'm having technical difficulties.
Have you had a least favorite location?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
a least favorite location.
A favorite location?
Least
Not my favorite.
Not your favorite. Did not like.
I would say we're good. I just feel like at the time we got there, there's a lot of challenges. Logistically, just the state of Texas, everything's huge. You can't get anywhere quickly. We were probably the farthest from our family and friends, and the command climate was just a little different than what we were used to, if you can say that. And I mean, we got there a couple of days later. We had the second shooting, so it just started off kind of bad, and there's just been a lot of challenges. So I would say that'd be my least favorite, although we stayed in Texas. But
yeah,
it's great. I think what they don't
Texas is definitely
prepare you for,
else.
and I'm just going to be really quick because I'm not sure if my phone is going to die, is that retiring for the service member is very different because they lose their sense of where they are, and I got to get up and actually find clothes to wear today or figure out a job, where spouses were used to that. But for me as a spouse, I feel like the loss of community, we're not in a military community now, is kind of the worst for us, because you try to stay so involved with everybody and get to learn. And so for me, that's kind of been the hardest transition that people don't prepare you for. My kids are all grown now, so I have empty nest syndrome. Nobody needs me. I'm just like, wait, I was born for nurture. So definitely, I think that's what people be when you get ready to go to your next duty station. Always get involved, volunteer, find your tribe, and stay in touch with the ones that you left behind, because chances are you're going to run into them again. We've done that a lot, even through retirements. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a big world, but such a small community. And I know your phone's probably going to die soon, Theresa, so I'll go ahead and let you go. Thank you so much for joining us today and making it work with life happening. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's really great. Hear you.
Okay, I think having hearing issues. So Theresa, we're good. I was just saying thank you for being on and joining us today. We will work through some technical issues and get you back, but I know your phone was getting ready to die on you. But yeah, Texas is definitely a huge state, y'all. You can still drive for 10 hours and still be in the state of Texas. Trying to drive across it, it's huge. And I think Fort Hood is definitely its own beast. We spent a few years there. The op tempo is very high, so it can make it difficult. But yeah, definitely the locations that you are at can, the community and people you have around you can definitely make or break it. So for us and for my family, like Fort Riley was probably my least favorite location. It was our very first duty station. We were a young family, and it was just for us, it just felt very hard. It's very hard to kind of get into that military community and whatnot. So for me, it just wasn't my favorite. On the flip side, the other side of Kansas, Leavenworth was one of my favorite locations. I loved the small town living. I loved the community that was there. I met some of my best friends that are from all the different branches there because of the schoolhouse. And I really love that Kansas City was just, 20, 30 minutes away. So while it was small town living, you weren't missing any of those big city amenities because Kansas City was right there. If I had to do a second favorite location, it was Fort Eustis. We lived in Williamsburg at the time, and just I loved the area. I loved being Williamsburg, Yorktown on a Saturday morning, just waking up, getting a cup of coffee there at William and Mary College, and then just walking historical Yorktown was just a family favorite of ours. And then, as I mentioned with Julie Shepard, going down to Fort Story Beach and going swimming in the ocean and basically having our own little private beach, because you had, to be military to get on base. And so it was like a private beach. You didn't have all the tourist folks there. So those would be my personal ones. Like I said, we are also in this game of waiting for orders with so many other people. And, it's order seasons. Orders are coming down. So if you are in that group, fingers crossed, you get to go where you want to go. If you come down as those lucky winners of needs of the military, just know it's not permanent. It's not forever. It's that saying, we can make anything work for a year, for 2 years, for whatever it is. So don't think it's the end of the world. And you might be pleasantly surprised as well as to what that location does for you and does for your family. I know I was not thrilled to come to our current location. I kind of came a little kicking and screaming, but it's been very pleasantly a good location for us, and a place that, I thought I would hate it, but I really don't. I've met some really great friends and great people here. So while it may not be what you want or what you expected, don't give up on it yet. Wait till you get there. Wait till you get settled in and see what's going on. But that's what we got for today. Join us again next week. We're going to have Paulette Fryer on, and we're going to talk about her experience PCSing. She is a Coast Guard spouse, and hear how it's a little bit different for them and their experience. Because we all go through the same process. We all PCS, but different branches, different experiences. And so join us next week. So until then, y'all take care. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you then. Bye, everybody.